The rain hammered the windshield like accusations Alex had heard one too many times. Each drop a reminder of the woman who'd birthed him but never truly seen him. He gripped the steering wheel of his beat-up Honda Civic, knuckles white, as the Wrigleyville street blurred into a watercolor of neon signs and huddled pedestrians under black umbrellas. "You're a disappointment, Alexander." Her voice echoed in his head, sharp as the November wind slicing through Chicago's canyons. But tonight, in a diner booth reeking of burnt coffee and regret, he'd finally said it. "We're done, Mom. Don't call me again." Alex slammed the car door behind him, the echo swallowed by the storm, and bolted up the stairs to his third-floor walk-up in a creaky brownstone that smelled faintly of garlic from the Italian place below. Water pooled at his feet as he shrugged off his soaked jacket, the weight of the evening crashing down harder than the thunder outside. He'd walked out of that diner on Halsted Street with nothing but a half-eaten patty melt and a resolve forged in years of her barbs, about his job slinging lattes at a hipster cafe, his phase with guys that she swore would pass if he just prayed harder, his refusal to be the straight-A son who'd marry some nice girl from the old neighborhood. Evelyn Harper had always wielded love like a weapon, conditional and cruel. And at 26, Alex was done bleeding for it. He collapsed onto his thrift store couch, the springs groaning in sympathy, and pulled out his phone. No messages. Good. But as the adrenaline ebbed, a hollow ache bloomed in his chest. Not just from the cut, but from the void it left. Who was he without her storm to rage against? He scrolled absently through his contacts, thumb hovering over the one name that had anchored him through the worst of it. Dr. Elias Grant, the therapist who'd listened without judgment, who'd helped him unpack the shame she'd packed into his bones. Their sessions in that cozy loop office, with its mid-century chairs and fern-shaded lamp, had been his lifeline. Elias, mid-40s, salt and pepper hair, those steady hazel eyes that seemed to see straight to the scared kid inside, had become more than a professional. He was the father figure Alex never had, the confidant who made him believe he could build a life unapologetically gay, fiercely his own. But that was 6 months ago, when Alex had scraped together enough from barista tips and freelance graphic gigs to afford the copays. Now, staring at the ceiling cracks that mapped out like fractured veins, he wondered if he'd ever go back. The rain softened to a patter, and in the quiet, he let himself imagine calling Elias just once more. Not as a patient, but as a man untethered, ready to chart his own course. Little did he know, the course was already veering into nightmare. The next morning dawned brittle and gray, the kind of Chicago winter light that promised snow but delivered only slush. Alex dragged himself to the Brew Haven, his cafe shift starting at the crack of 7, where the line of bleary-eyed commuters snaked out the door like they were auditioning for a zombie flick. He frothed milk with mechanical precision, flashing his trademark half-smile at the regulars. The hairy dad who always ordered a surprise me latte, the queer couple from the theater district who tipped in theater stubs. It was routine, this grind, but today it felt like armor, keeping the previous night's fracture at bay. Midway through the rush, as he handed off a court-adieu to a guy with a man bun and a rescue pup on a leash, his phone buzzed in his apron pocket. Unknown number. He ignored it, wiping steam from his glasses, until it buzzed again. Stepping into the back alley for a breath of diesel-tinged air, he answered. "Hello, Alexander?" "It's Mom." Her voice cracked like thin ice, laced with that faux fragility she deployed like tear gas. "I can't believe you hung up on me last night. After everything I've done." "You mean after everything you've said?" He leaned against the graffiti-scarred brick, the cold seeping through his flannel. "I told you, Evelyn, we're done. Find someone else to unload on." A pause, heavy as the fog rolling in from Lake Michigan. "You think you can just erase me? I'm your mother. And I've met someone who gets it, who sees how lost you are. He's a therapist, Alex. A good one. Maybe he can talk some sense into you." His laugh was bitter, scraping his throat. "A therapist? That's rich. Like I'd trust one of your fixer-uppers to sense anything about me." He hung up before she could weaponize tears, pocketing the phone like it burned. But the seed was planted, a nagging itch. Who was this guy? Some Park Avenue shrink she'd charmed at a PDA fundraiser? Alex shook it off, clocking back in to the symphony of espresso hisses and small talk. Work was his sanctuary. After all, the one place where his queerness blended into the rainbow swirl of cream in a unicorn frappe. No explanations needed. By closing time, the itch had burrowed deeper. He texted his best friend, Jamie, a drag king from the Boys Town scene who moonlighted as a barista too. Ditched mom for good last night. She's already got a new boyfriend. A therapist, of all things. World's smallest dick move? Jamie's reply pinged back instantly. Bitch, please. Celebrate with drinks at Sidetrack? 9 p.m. Bring your hot self. Sidetrack was a Boys Town staple. All disco balls and shirtless go-go boys under strobing lights. The air thick with cologne and possibility. Alex arrived fashionably late, weaving through the crowd of leather daddies and twinks nursing Cosmos, spotting Jamie at the bar in a fedora and vest that screamed prohibition chic. To fresh starts, Jamie toasted with a cherry bomb, clinking glasses. They laughed over bad ex stories. Jamie's parade of ghosters, Alex's dry spell since his last hookup fizzled into friendship, and for an hour, the world felt light, unscarred. Then Jamie's eyes widened over Alex's shoulder. Incoming at 3 o'clock. Tall, broody, built like a lumberjack who reads poetry. Your type. Alex turned, and his stomach dropped like the L train rattling overhead. There, nursing a whiskey neat at the end of the bar, was a face from his fractured past. Not Elias, but close enough to twist the knife. It was Marcus, one of Elias's former patients, or so the grapevine whispered during a group therapy mixer last year. Marcus caught his gaze, those dark eyes flickering with recognition, and slid off his stool, closing the distance with the easy grace of a man who owned his space. Alex Harper? No shit. Been a minute. Marcus's voice was low, gravelly, like aged bourbon over rocks. Up close, he was even more striking. Late 20s, olive skin, a jawline that could cut glass, and arms inked with intricate sleeves of waves and anchors that hinted at a sailor's soul trapped in the Midwest. Yeah, hey, Marcus, right? From Dr. Grant's group thing. Alex's pulse thrummed, not just from the proximity, but from the electric what-if humming between them. Marcus had always been the quiet one in sessions, sharing sparingly about his own coming-out wars with a Bible-thumping family. But his rare smiles had lit up the room like contraband fireworks. In the flesh. Heard you went solo with Elias after that. Smart move. Man's a wizard. Marcus leaned in, the heat of him cutting through the club's chill. Buy you a drink? Or are you here with someone? Jamie, ever the wingman, melted into the crowd with a wink. Alex hesitated, the ghost of his mother's call lingering. But damn if Marcus's grin didn't pull him under like the undertow. Whiskey sour. And I'm free as a bird. They talked until last call, words flowing like the drinks, about Marcus's gig as a tattoo artist in Wicker Park, sketching mermaids for sailors' grandkids. Alex's doodles turning into side hustle logos for queer-owned businesses. Laughter bridged the gaps, vulnerability peeking through like stars in city smog. When Marcus brushed his hand against Alex's on the sticky bar top, neither pulled away. Walk you home, Marcus murmured, breath warm against his ear. The rain had cleared, leaving streets slick and silver under sodium lamps. They strolled arm in arm down Halsted, shoulders bumping, the city a conspirator in their orbit. At Alex's door, Marcus paused, thumb tracing the line of his jaw. This feels, right, like we skipped the bullshit and landed here. Their kiss was tentative at first, then deepening. A promise sealed in the porch light's glow, soft, searching, tasting of possibility. Inside, tangled in sheets that smelled of laundry detergent and hope, they didn't rush. It was hands mapping scars, whispers of, I've been waiting for this. Bodies aligning like puzzle pieces long separated. No frenzy, just the quiet unraveling of guards. The romance of two men reclaiming what the world had tried to steal. As dawn crept in, Marcus traced lazy circles on Alex's chest. Stay, Alex breathed, and for the first time in years, he meant it. Not as a plea, but as an invitation. But invitations, Alex would learn, could be revoked without warning. Weeks blurred into a rhythm Alex hadn't known he craved. Mornings tangled with Marcus in his sun-dappled apartment overlooking the park, where they'd brew coffee strong enough to wake the dead and plan lazy Sundays at the Art Institute, debating Pollock's chaos over falafel from a street cart. Marcus was a revelation. Fiercely loyal, with a laugh that rumbled like distant thunder and eyes that held storms of their own. He'd fled a conservative Kentucky clan at 18. Ink and needles his rebellion, and in Alex, he found a mirror. Both survivors, both building cathedrals from the rubble of rejection. Yet Evelyn's shadow lingered, a specter in voicemails Alex deleted unread, texts pleading for family that he archived like toxic waste. He hadn't blocked her. Chicago winters were cold enough without full ice outs. But he'd built walls, high and humming with the buzz of new love. Jamie teased him mercilessly at their weekly brunches in Andersonville. "You're glowing bitch. Marcus got you on that post-breakup rebound or what?" Alex would roll his eyes, but the truth was sweeter. This was no rebound. It was roots, tentative tendrils pushing through concrete. One crisp Saturday in early December, as snow dusted the magnificent mile like powdered sugar, Marcus dragged him to a holiday market in Lincoln Park. Booths brimmed with handmade ornaments, glittery drag queen snow globes, rainbow wreaths woven with fairy lights, and the air sang with mulled wine and carolers belting Jingle Bell Rock with a queer twist. "Pick one," Marcus said, nodding at a stall of custom tattoos on temporary paper, his arm slung possessively around Alex's waist. "Something to commemorate us." Alex traced a design. 2 interlocking anchors, waves crashing into hearts. "This, for the storms we weather." Marcus's grin was worth every penny, and as they wandered, hands linked against the chill, Alex felt the city's pulse sync with his own. A heartbeat of reinvention. That illusion shattered on a Tuesday evening, the kind where the wind howls off the lake like a banshee. Alex was elbow-deep in flour at home, attempting Marcus's grandma's pecan pie recipe for a potluck at the Brew Haven, when his phone lit up with a photo from an unknown sender. He wiped his hands on a dish towel, curiosity piqued, and tapped open the message. The image hit like a sucker punch. Evelyn, radiant in a crimson sweater, arm looped through a man's at a swanky holiday gala. Crystal chandeliers, tuxedos, the whole Windy City elite schmooze. The man. Silver temples, wire-rimmed glasses, that familiar tweed blazer tailored just so. Dr. Elias Grant, smiling down at her like she was the breakthrough he'd been chasing. Alex's knees buckled, the phone slipping from numb fingers to clatter on the linoleum. Elias. His Elias, the one who'd held space for his rawest confessions, who'd nodded through tales of Evelyn's venom without a flinch. And now, dating her? The betrayal coiled in his gut, hot and vicious. Not just professional breach but personal apocalypse. Had Elias spilled? Judged him through her lens? Or worse? Pity fucked the narrative, turning Alex's pain into pillow talk? He retched into the sink, pie crust crumbling forgotten on the counter. Marcus found him there 20 minutes later, key turning in the lock like a lifeline. "Babe? Smells like heaven in." "Shit. Alex, what's wrong?" Strong arms pulled him upright, Marcus's concern a balm against the nausea. Words tumbled out in fragments. The photo, the history, the horror of it all. Marcus listened, fury etching his brow, then crushed Alex to his chest. "That's fucked, Alex. Beyond. We call him. Now." "No." Alex's voice was steel, forged in the diner's ashes. "I handle this. Alone." But Marcus's grip tightened, a vow unspoken. Not alone. Not anymore. The confrontation brewed like a nor'easter. Alex drove to Elias's office the next morning, the loop a snarl of yellow cabs and suited commuters oblivious to his implosion. The waiting room fern mocked him with its perky fronds, and when the receptionist ushered him in without an appointment, "Dr. Grant's expecting you?" Alex barked a laugh. "Tell him it's family business." Elias rose from his desk, surprise flickering before settling into that practiced calm. "Alex, it's been months. Sit, please." He gestured to the Eames chair, but Alex remained standing, arms crossed like a barrier. Family business, Alex echoed, tossing the printed photo onto the blotter. It landed with a soft slap, accusation incarnate. You and my mother. Dating. How long, Doc? Since I stopped paying you to play confidant. Elias's face drained of color, hazel eyes darting to the door as if praying for an exit. Alex, this isn't. I met Evelyn 3 weeks ago, at a charity auction for mental health outreach. It was coincidental. I swear, nothing you've shared has. Coincidental. Alex's laugh was jagged, slicing the air. You knew her name. You knew the war stories. And now you're sipping champagne with the enemy? What? Did she spin some tale about the ungrateful gay son, and you nodded along like it was case study gold? Elias sank into his chair, rubbing temples as if warding off a migraine. I ended it last night, after she mentioned you in passing. Felt unethical even peripherally. But Alex, our sessions, your trust, that was sacred. Still is. Sacred. The word ignited something feral. Alex swept the photo to the floor, voice rising to a roar that echoed off the bookshelves lined with Freud and Foucault. You violated it the second you let her in. What if she'd pried? What if you slipped, Elias? You're not just some guy, you're the one who taught me boundaries. And here you are, erasing mine. Tears stung, hot and unwelcome, but Alex held his ground, chest heaving. Elias reached out, then thought better, hand falling limp. I failed you. I'm sorry. If there's anything. There isn't. Alex turned for the door, pausing with hand on the knob. Don't contact her. Don't contact me. Burn the notes if you have to. Just stay out of my story. He fled into the midday bustle, the L's screech a dirge overhead, and didn't stop until he reached the lakefront, waves crashing against the breakwater like his pulse. Betrayal wasn't just the act. It was the echo, the way it hollowed you out and left you adrift. He sank onto a bench, wind whipping his scarf, and pulled out his phone. Marcus's text waited. You okay? Love you. Simple words, a tether. But even as warmth bloomed, doubt crept in. Could love withstand this? Or was he just trading one toxic tie for another, doomed to unravel? That night, over takeout Thai in Marcus's loft, exposed brick, canvases propped like sentinels. Alex confessed the details, the raw edges. Marcus listened without interruption, then pulled him onto the rug by the fireplace, flames dancing shadows on their faces. You're not unraveling, he murmured, fingers threading through Alex's hair. You're rewriting, and I'm in every chapter. They made love slowly then, not as escape but affirmation. Bodies a language of forgiveness, lips mapping apologies neither owed. In the afterglow, wrapped in a quilt stitched with nautical stars, Marcus shared his own scar. A therapist who'd outed him to his folks in a therapeutic intervention. Trust shatters easy, he said softly, but we glue it back stronger, with gold like those Japanese pots. Alex nodded, tracing the anchor tattoo on Marcus's forearm, the one matching his fresh ink, still tender under saran wrap. Romance wasn't fireworks. It was this, the quiet forging in firelight. But as snow began to fall outside, blanketing the city in hush, Evelyn's final text pierced the peace. He's perfect, Alex. Come to dinner. Heal us. The invitation was a grenade, pin pulled. The dinner loomed like a guillotine blade, sharp and inevitable. Alex stared at the text through bleary eyes the next morning, sunlight slanting across Marcus's rumpled sheets like a reluctant mediator. Evelyn's words, heal us, dripped with manipulation, the kind she'd honed over potlucks and parent-teacher nights, guilting him into compliance since he was old enough to spell Catholic. But now, with Elias in the mix, it was a farce wrapped in velvet. A chance to discuss his choices, no doubt, under the guise of reconciliation. Marcus stirred beside him, sleep-tousled and tempting, pressing a kiss to his shoulder. Delete it. Block the witch. His voice was rough with dawn, hands sliding possessively over Alex's hip. I want to. Alex rolled to face him, noses brushing in the intimate geography of morning. But ignoring it feels like letting her win. Like I'm still the kid hiding report cards. Marcus propped on an elbow, concern etching lines around his eyes. Then go. But not alone. I'll be your +1. The tattooed specter haunting her casserole. Alex laughed, the sound brittle but real, and pulled him down for a kiss that tasted of toothpaste and tomorrow. Deal. But no punching shrinks. The address was a bungalow in Edison Park, far from the city's grit. Manicured lawn dusted with fresh snow, string lights twinkling like false stars along the eaves. Evelyn had upgraded since the divorce, trading their cramped Albany Park row house for this slice of suburbia, funded by alimony and her gig as a realtor peddling McMansions to upwardly mobile divorcees. Alex parked the Civic curbside, engine ticking cool, Marcus's hand a steady anchor on his thigh. "You got this?" Marcus murmured, squeezing before stepping out into the bite of air. They crunched up the walk, Alex's knock echoing hollow in his chest. Evelyn flung open the door, all cashmere and Chanel No. 5. Her smile a masterpiece of Botox and denial. "Alexander and company?" Her eyes flicked over Marcus like he was an uninvited weed in her perennial bed. But she recovered with hostess flair, ushering them into the foyer where poinsettias bloomed blood-red against cream walls. "Dinner's almost ready. Elias is in the den, fixing the tree lights. Bless him." She air-kissed Alex's cheek, lingering a beat too long, then pivoted to Marcus with predatory politeness. "I'm Evelyn. And you are?" "Marcus Ruiz, Alex's boyfriend." The word landed like a gauntlet, firm and unyielding. Evelyn's smile faltered, just a twitch, before snapping back. "How progressive. Come, wine in the living room." The house was a shrine to assimilation. Framed crucifixes beside abstract prints from her art phase. A bar cart stocked with top-shelf scotch that screamed midlife reinvention. Elias emerged from the den, untangling a strand of LEDs. His tweed swapped for a festive sweater that did nothing to soften the blow. "Alex." His voice was even, but regret shadowed his eyes. "Marcus, good to see you both. Save it." Alex's tone was ice, clinking glasses as Evelyn poured Merlot with unsteady hands. Marcus shot him a subtle nod, steady, and they settled into wingbacks by the fire, small talk a minefield. Weather, brutal. Holidays, Evelyn's nativity scene a masterpiece. Work, Marcus's tattoos dismissed as body graffiti. Dinner was roast beef and Yorkshire puddings. The dining room aglow with candles that flickered like uneasy consciences. Evelyn dominated, prattling about her auction win, a signed Hemingway first edition, while Elias nodded along, stealing glances at Alex laden with unspoken pleas. Halfway through, as potatoes congealed on fine china, she struck. "So, Alexander, Elias tells me you've been struggling with direction." Her fork paused midair, eyes gleaming. "He mentioned your sessions, how insightful they were. Perhaps we could revisit some of that. As a family." Alex's knife clattered, Merlot sloshing in his glass. Marcus's foot nudged his under the table. "Breathe." But the dam cracked. "Sessions? You discussed my therapy with him? After everything?" Elias cleared his throat, face ashen. "Generalities only, Evelyn." "Aye, generalities." Alex shoved back his chair, the screech a banshee wail. "Like how I came out at 16 and you called it a rebellion phase? Or how you shipped me to conversion prayer groups, praying the gay away like it was the flu." His voice rose, raw and ragged, years of suppressed thunder breaking free. "And you, Elias, you sat there week after week, letting me bare my soul, then waltz into her bed? What was it, pity? Curiosity about the toxic dynamic up close?" Evelyn gasped, hand to her pearls. "Alexander James Harper, that tone?" "No." Marcus's interjection was quiet thunder, rising to stand beside Alex, hand on his back. "You don't get to police his pain, not after what you've sown." Elias pushed away his plate, standing with palms open. "Alex, I broke it off because of this, because it compromised everything. Your file is sealed. I never shared details. But seeing Evelyn humanized her, showed me the cycle you're breaking. I'm proud of you for that. Proud. Alex's laugh was a sob, tears blurring the crystal. You don't get to be proud. You were my North Star, and you dimmed it for her redemption arc. He turned to Evelyn, voice fracturing. This was your play, wasn't it? Reel me in through him. Fix your broken boy before Christmas. She wilted, mascara threatening mutiny. I just wanted us back. You're all I have left since your father. Dad left because of you? Alex spat, the truth of venom he'd swallowed too long. Your control, your condemnations. He couldn't breathe here either. The room spun into silence, broken only by the tick of a grandfather clock. Elias stepped forward, voice low. Let me make this right. One session, off books. For closure. But Alex was already moving, Marcus shadowing him to the door. Closure's a myth you sell, document. I've got mine right here. He gripped Marcus's hand, the anchor in his storm. Outside, snow swirled like confetti in chaos, the bungalow receding as they drove south toward the city lights. Alex wept then, ugly and unfiltered, Marcus pulling over on a quiet side street to hold him through it. You're free, Marcus whispered, kissing salt from his lashes. And I'm not going anywhere. In the days that followed, the fracture lines spiderwebbed. Evelyn's calls escalated to pleas, then accusations, selfish ingrate, until Alex blocked her. The click a cathartic full stop. Elias emailed an apology, forwarding a referral to a new therapist. A queer-affirming doc in Boys Town. No conflicts, no ghosts. Alex archived it, not ready, but the gesture landed softer than expected. A crack in the betrayal's armor. Christmas Eve found them at Jamie's ugly sweater party. A riot of tinsel and eggnog in a Logan Square flat strung with popcorn garlands. Laughter rang as Jamie lip-synced, All I Want for Christmas Is You, in a reindeer antler headband. And Marcus twirled Alex under mistletoe fashioned from beer caps. Amid the cheer, vulnerability surfaced. Stories swapped of holidays past. The ache of empty chairs at tables set for ghosts. Later, on the fire escape with mugs of spiked cider, city sprawl glittering below, Alex leaned into Marcus's side. What if I'm broken goods? Mom's poison, Elias's breach. Does it taint us? Marcus tilted his chin up, eyes fierce with starlight. Nah, tempers us, like steel in the forge. Their kiss was slow, snowflakes melting on lashes, a vow etched in winter's hush. Romance, Alex realized, wasn't absence of scars. It was choosing to trace them together. But Evelyn wasn't done. New Year's dawned with a bombshell. A letter, hand-delivered to the Brew Haven by courier, sealed with her monogram. Inside, crisp stationery trembled in Alex's grip. I'm sorry. Truly. Elias helped me see my part. The fear, the faith twisted into fists. I started therapy myself. No expectations, but the door's open. If you ever love, Mom. He folded it away, heart a bruise blooming purple. Forgiveness wasn't a light switch. It was dawn, slow and streaked with pink. Marcus read it over his shoulder that night, nodding. Your call, babe. But whatever, I'm your home. As fireworks cracked over Navy Pier, Alex chose tentative thaw, not reunion, but release. He texted her back. Processing. Give it time. Then, turning to Marcus amid the pyrotechnic bloom, he whispered, You're my everything. The year turned, and with it Alex's world. Spring thawed the lakefront paths, where he and Marcus jogged side by side, breaths sinking to the rhythm of rebirth. Elias faded to a footnote, his office passed without a glance, replaced by sessions with Dr. Lena Torres, a butch Latina with a noble shit vibe and a bookshelf groaning under Audre Lorde. There, Alex unpacked the layers. Evelyn's Catholic upbringing, her own unspoken griefs, the humanity beneath the hurt. Summer hummed in with pride parades down Halstead, rainbows unfurling like banners of survival. Alex marched with Marcus, Jamie whooping from a float bedecked in drag feathers, the crowd a sea of unapologetic joy. That night, under the beam of the bean, Marcus dropped to one knee. Not with a ring, but a promise. Build this with me? The messy, the magic. Alex pulled him up, yes trembling on his lips. Their dance a scandal amid tourists' flashes. Fall leaves carpeted Wicker Park as Evelyn reached out again. Not demands, but shares. A photo of her at a PFLAG meeting, awkward smile amid allies. A card for Alex's birthday, and signed but scented with her perfume. He didn't reply, but kept them, talismans of her unraveling. Climax crested on a blustery October eve, when Evelyn showed at his door unannounced. Rain-soaked, eyes red-rimmed, Elias nowhere in sight. I need to say it face to face, she choked, shivering on the stoop. I was wrong. About you, about love. I lost your father to my fear, and nearly you. Forgive me? Not for me. For us. Alex stood frozen, Marcus hovering in the hall like a sentinel. The old script screamed slam the door, but the new one, the one inked with anchors and gold-veined cracks, whispered listen. He stepped aside. Come in. Tea. Hours dissolved in the kitchen, words pouring like the storm outside. Her childhood altar boy abuses, the church's chokehold, the desperation to save him from her own ghosts. Tears flowed bidirectional, Evelyn's first, then Alex's, admissions of resentment nursed too long. Love starved but not dead. Marcus mediated with quiet grace, his presence the glue. Dawn broke with hugs at the threshold, tentative as spring shoots. I'm proud of you, Evelyn said, echoing Elias's ghost but owning it now. Be happy. As her taillights faded, Alex turned to Marcus, exhaustion yielding to elation. We did that. Human. Huh. Marcus grinned, pulling him close. Deeply. In the end, it wasn't erasure but evolution. The toxic ties reforged into something resilient, romantic in its imperfection. Alex's story wasn't linear. It was a mosaic, shards of betrayal glinting alongside love's steady glow. And in Chicago's endless skyline, he walked forward, hand in hand, unapologetically whole. 2 years later, the bungalow in Edison Park had become neutral ground, holidays a hybrid of traditions. Evelyn's Yorkshire puddings alongside Marcus's Kentucky hot brown, rainbow ornaments dangling from her once pristine tree. It wasn't seamless. Awkward pauses still bloomed like weeds, Evelyn's old habits surfacing in fretful questions about settling down. But the air had cleared, laced now with tentative laughter and shared glances that said we're trying. Alex thrived in the thaw. The Brew Haven promoted him to manager, his graphic side hustle blooming into a boutique agency specializing in queer branding. Logos for Boys Town bakeries, apps for trans support networks. Marcus's tattoo parlor expanded, walls alive with murals of mermaids kissing sailors under harvest moons. Their life wove together. A cozy 2-bedroom in Ukrainian village, walls hung with their anchor art and Evelyn's guilty Christmas gift. A signed Hemingway, dog-eared from her readings. Elias crossed paths once, at a mental health gala downtown. Tuxedo crisp, arm linked with a silver-haired colleague named Theo. Their ease a quiet testament to moving on. No words passed, just a nod across the ballroom. Heavy with history but lightened by time. Alex raised his glass in silent toast. To boundaries kept, eventually. The true crescendo came on a sweltering July 4th. Fireworks not from the sky but from within. Marcus had planned a surprise. A road trip to the Indiana dunes. Dunes rolling like golden waves under a relentless sun. They hiked barefoot through Marram grass. Lake Michigan's turquoise expanse a mirror to their uncharted hearts. Atop a crest, wind whipping shirts to translucence, Marcus dropped again. This time with a velvet box, ring glinting like a captured star. Marry me, Alex Harper. Not despite the storms, but because we sailed them. Tears blurred the vista, joy a tidal surge. Yes, God, yes. They tumbled down the dune in a tangle of limbs and laughter. Sand in crevices, salt on skin, sealing it with a kiss that tasted of forever. Evelyn's reaction, over FaceTime from her cruise, her reinvention phase, was a waterworks wonder. Sobs and squeals, demands for invites, a vow to knit matching Afghans. My boys, she beamed, the word encompassing Marcus like family. Dr. Lena, in their next session, called it the humanistic arc. Not perfection, but progress, where betrayal's ashes fertilized growth. Weddings in Chicago were spectacles, but theirs was intimate. A rooftop affair at the Roby Hotel, skyline as altar, Jamie officiating in a tuxedo gown with vows laced in shade. 50 souls gathered. Boys Town chosen family. Marcus's ink-sleeved kin from the holler. Evelyn beaming in lavender silk beside a PFLAG contingent. Rings exchanged under a chuppa of driftwood and fairy lights. Promises whispered. In calm and gale, I choose you. The reception spilled into night, a swirl of cake, pecan, naturally, and toasts. Jamie's roast on Alex's glow up from mama's boy to heartthrob. Marcus's dad's gravelly blessing from afar. As slow dance to KD Lang under string lights, Alex leaned into Marcus's chest, heartbeat a drum against his ear. We made it, he murmured. We're just starting. Marcus's hand spanned his back, anchor steady. In the quiet aftermath, as confetti swept from the rooftop, Alex reflected on the man he'd been. The diner walker-outer, the betrayal-blinded fighter. That Alex had clawed through thorns to this bloom, humanistic in its mess. The romance not of fairy dust, but flesh and forgiveness. Evelyn's journey mirrored his. Therapy unearthed her layers. A memoir penned in stolen moments. Waves we couldn't weather, dedicated to my son, who taught me to swim. Years folded forward. Adoptions discussed over diner patty melts. A nursery painted in soft blues and greens. Elias sent a card at the birth. Wishing you tides of joy. A bridge unburnt, perhaps one day crossed. Chicago, eternal crucible, watched them build. Walks along the river where it all began. Hands clasped against the wind, stories retold with softer edges. Betrayal's sting dulled to lesson. Conflict to catalyst, climax to cornerstone. In the end, love wasn't the absence of pain. It was the audacity to love through it, deeply, defiantly human. And as snow fell once more, blanketing the city in possibility, Alex whispered to the man beside him, Here's to us. Marcus smiled, that lumberjack poet grin, and pulled him closer. The world outside could rage. They had their harbor.